Good day. My name is Sharon Grimes. I'm with the St. Croix Seashell Society. We have a seashell museum located at the St. George Village Botanical Garden, and we invite everyone to visit the museum whenever you visit the St. George Village Botanical Garden. This morning, I'm going to talk to you about seashell architecture, focusing on the gastropod family. So what is a seashell? Seashells are in the molluscan phylum. They have been around for about 65 million years. Scientists believe there are over 30,000 living species, and most of these live in shallow waters, and they have an average lifespan of 2 to 15 years. The seashell is the external skeleton that's created by the mollusk itself. The body secretes calcium carbonate. It grows as the seashell grows. There are many variations in shape, size, and color. And the animal uses the shell for protection, locomotion, and opening objects. Gastropods are the single coiled shells or a cap-shaped cell. They have a head with tentacles, and there's eyes on the end of those tentacles. They have a mouth and a foot. The word gastropod means stomach foot. And the foot sometimes produces a cover or an operculum to close the shell. The first shell I want to show you is Venus comb murex. It is from the Philippines. It has all these beautiful spines. You can see the opening right here. All the spines make the shell look bigger. If a predator like octopus or fish comes along to eat the shell, it looks bigger, the spines might stick. So hopefully the fish or octopus won't try to eat the Venus comb. And also the spines help elevate it off of the sandy bottom so that it doesn't sink into the bottom. The second shell I have is the king helmet. It's found here on St. Croix. It's a very thick, heavy shell. You can see that it's a big guy, it's heavy, and it's also very thick. The reasons for the thick shell is because it could also be eaten by a fish or an octopus. And the heavier and harder the shell is, the more difficult it is for another animal to crush it to eat the animal. Also, there are seashells that have the ability to drill holes into other shells and suck the animal out. So having a thick, heavy shell helps to protect the king helmet from other predators. The next specimen I had is called Atlantic Distorsio. This one is from Florida. You can see it has a really pretty little opening. It's frilly. Let's see if I can get it close enough to the camera here where you can see it. And you can see that it has teeth along the bottom. These, even though the opening is fairly narrow, the teeth help to prevent other animals from getting into the shell to eat the animal. This next shell is one of my favorites. It's called a carrier shell. This is an Atlantic carrier shell. It's found here on St. Croix. The only way you can tell it's a seashell is to look at the bottom, and you can see the way it goes around, and you can see the opening where the animal lives in here. This shell is covered with bits of coral. The carrier shell is the body has this ability to attach other items to its shell. It keeps the animal up, elevated off of the bottom of the ocean. It collects debris underneath the shell, which the animal eats. And also, it's a great disguise for predators because you would never know that this was a shell from looking at the top. This carrier shell is from the Philippines, much prettier. This guy had a better selection of shells to attach, and it also attached this beautiful sponge. So this is a really pretty guy. And again, the seashells hold it up off of the bottom so that it doesn't sink into the sand and it can collect food. Another shell that creates special purposes is called the banded tooth. This is from Costa Rica. I can get it right here. You can see that it has a tooth here at the bottom of its shell. This guy eats barnacles, so he can use this tooth to pry open a barnacle, and then the tooth will hold, get a good angle here. The tooth will hold the barnacle open while he eats the barnacle. Next, I have some keyhole limpets. Here we can see. This first guy is called the black spotted limpet. It's from Costa Rica. This guy lives on rocks above the tide line. When it's low tide, the animal is covered with water, so it can expel water through the keyhole. And when the tide is going out, it stores the water inside the shell to keep the animal moist. This is one of the capped shells. So you can see that the shell is open at the bottom. The animal is able to fully attach itself to a rock and move up and down on the rock. The smaller guy is a wobbly keyhole limpet. I don't know if I can get it where you can see the keyhole. There you can see the keyhole. This guy lives in lower tide line. It gets much more hit by the pounding waves. So the flatter shell helps to absorb the pounding of the waves. Another shell who's created a special function. This is a tiger cowrie. It's from the Pacific, and it has a very narrow opening. For such a large shell, the opening is very small, and it has teeth along here as well. So the teeth and the narrow opening help to prevent other animals from being able to get inside and suck the animal out for its dinner. This shell is called a slit shell for reasons that you can see. It's from Japan. The animal that makes this shell is one of the most primitive shells that we know of. It doesn't have the ability to expel water or waste from the shell other than its slit. So it uses the slit to expel waste. You can see that the slit works its way around the shell, and as the shell grows, it fills in where the slit was before. You can see up here on the next layer of growth where it was a smaller shell, so the slit is smaller, but it's all been filled in. These are very beautiful, very deep water shells and very primitive. The last one is called a Neapolitan triton. You can see that it has a very hairy outer skin, and this is called the periostracum. The periostracum is used to help disguise the shell as it sits on the grassy bottom, and also it keeps other encrusting animals from getting onto the shell. So this is a big guy. Around here, this one is from Florida. They're also called hairy tritons. but this guy lives worldwide. So you have possibilities of finding these, but not very often with the Periostracum intact like this guy is. Thank you. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about how seashells specialize themselves. And thank you for attending.